When you're injured or lose a loved one in an accident, it's the results that matter. And results are what you get with the Brosnahan Law Firm. Whether it's a vehicle accident, wrongful death, or injured child, the Brosnahan Law Firm is the right choice. Call 457-3000.
Perfect.
Perfect. Perfect.
Getting the right look at the right price
Perfect.
is always in style at Cost Cutters.
Located in the professional building in the Winona Mall, 507-454-6030.
Hello again, everybody, and welcome to From the Dugout here on HBC TV 25. I'm Justin Barrientos. Thank you for joining us. Today we'll talk Winona LeJetz baseball with head coach Gary Hepner. Thank you for being here today.
Thank you for bringing us.
Let's get to know you first, because you've been with the LeJetz program and really sports in Winona for a long, long time. What's your history of sports in Winona?
Grew up in Winona. I've been here my whole life. Played VFW, Legion baseball. Played at Winona High School. So been around the diamond since probably the 70s, you know. It's been a long time. Been with the Legion program for 33 years, 26 as a head coach, and then I also managed for about a 7-year stint there. Took a break while my daughters were playing some summer sports, and got back into the head coaching role again last year, so back at it again this summer.
All right, let's back up a little bit. How did you first get involved with LeJetz, and how did you first take the managerial role?
It happened way back in the mid-'80s. Nothing I intended on doing for a long period of time. Maury Gotzi was the business manager at the time and needed a coach and asked me to do it for a 1-year deal for a mere $200. And college kid, jumped at the idea of helping him out. Like I say, I didn't plan on doing it for more than a year or two, and enjoyed it, enjoyed being around the game. I'd always been around the game, and just kept rolling, and 5-10 years later, 15-20 years later, and something I enjoy doing, and it's a good way to spend the summers around the park, and I guess I've always just been there, so I coached and coached and coached, and then got to the point where I was missing some of my daughter's activities, so took a leave and went and coached some fast pitch softball, worked with Pat Bolin a little bit, doing some WinStar stuff, and enjoyed that while I could. And then after she got older and stopped playing, I got back into the coaching again last year. So I've had good assistant coaches throughout the years. Jeff Larson, a good friend of mine way back in the 80s, helped me. Riley Stayskool and Sean Zabrowski helped me. These are all Winona baseball names. Now Fran McDivitt's been with me, and Steve Gilbertson and Luke Manor are helping also this year. So been fortunate to have good assistant coaches that make the head coaching job a little easier. And then as a manager, Maury Gotzi was there when I first started. Gene Thrun took over and did a great job for a long period of time. And then once he got out, I just kind of grabbed the managerial duties and ran with both of those. So do a lot of off-season stuff as far as scheduling, equipment, do the behind-the-scenes stuff, and then once the season starts, do the coaching part of it. So keeps me busy. So, and like I say, it's enjoyable. I enjoy being around the field. So.
All right.
No better place to be in the summer than at the baseball field.
Oh, absolutely. I agree with you on that. Now, you mentioned that when you first took over the managerial role, you didn't really think you would do that for very long, but then you did step away to watch your daughters play and then get involved in that. What brought you back after that? What was the kind of plea to bring you back?
Yeah, I think it's just the love of the game, you know, and I mean, I missed it when I wasn't there, you know, but it was too hard doing both. I tried doing that for a summer, and I was just ran myself ragged, you know, trying to run all over the place. I remember a couple of weekends where we had softball in the cities and a doubleheader in Owatonna or a doubleheader in Albert Lea, and I ran from Owatonna from a game up to the cities, you know, catch a softball game or coach there, run back down, and I was going back and forth. And there was one weekend where it was just chaos, and I just said, I can't do this, you know, I can't do both. So that's why I stepped away then. And then last year, you know, came back in, and Fran said, it's your squad, you know, he kind of held rein for me, and he said, it's your squad, you want to take over. And so, you know, I do the coaching, but he's right there with me helping out, and he's kind of my right-hand man right now. So it's worked out pretty good.
Okay. Last year was kind of a special year. Get back to the state tournament, I think, first time since 2012, something like that. What was it about last year that was so special, and how did you make that march to the state tournament?
Just a great group of guys. They got along well, good chemistry, and they liked being at the park. And we played a pretty tough schedule. I've always had the philosophy of playing a pretty tough schedule, and try to improve yourself so you're better at the end of the year than you are at the start of the year. So we played a real good schedule. We're a little over 500, but then we got hot at the end of the year, played well at tournament time, and between the leadership we had from some of our seniors, a couple of the French boys that are up at St. Mary's gave good senior leadership, and some of the younger kids that stepped in, like Ethan Ringo and Brody Biddle, and some of those guys, Matt Reinhardt, Sam Nasek, just had good leadership all the way throughout, and just played well at the end of the year, peaked at the right time and got hot, and made a nice run to the state tournament. Didn't do as well as we wanted to once we got up there, but out of I think there was a dozen teams at the state tournament in that Division I level. We were, I think, the 11th in population or in school enrollment size. There was one school smaller than us. Otherwise, there's 2 levels in Legion baseball, not the 3 that you have in the high school season, or 4. But we were up against, the Wyzettas, the Eden Prairies, and not to make excuses, but we were up against some pretty strong programs. So we were happy to get there, and hopefully next year or this year you can get back there and do yourself a little bit better than you did last year.
All right, let's talk a little bit about this year's team. How many players do you have on the team this year? Did you have to go through a tryout process? How many people are coming back from last year?
We're carrying 14. We didn't, so we just kept that 14 that came out, which is a good number to work with. 6 returners, 8 new guys. So a pretty good mix of guys. The majority of Winona High School guys. Parker Nelton graduated from Cotter last year. He's eligible age-wise to come back and play, so he's with us. But the rest of them are basically off the varsity from Winona High this spring. Good, once again, a good blend, a good group of guys. We're fighting a few issues right now injury-wise. Sam Nasek's going in for an MRI tomorrow on his arm, so whether he's going to be able to throw it all this summer is questionable, so that kind of hurts us. Matt Reinhardt's been out, was sick for a week, thought maybe it was mono, but sounds like it's not, so hopefully he'll be back later this week, but he's missed our first week, so. And a couple other guys coming off injuries. Bennett Heffman, just started playing a little bit after a football surgery. Sam Connie just started playing after football surgery. So, right now we're just starting out a little slow, a little dinged up. And once again, though, hopefully by July, you're playing your better baseball and peaking at the right time.
All right. Well, we'll talk a little bit more about the season in the next couple of episodes that we have here. But about a minute left. Where do you play your home games, and how do people get some information about the LeJetz to see when you play?
Home games are at Winona State. Use that as our practice game facility, so you can catch the games there. WinonaLeJetz.com, I believe, is the site. If you Google Winona LeJetz, you'll find that. The schedule's posted on there. Otherwise, if you're driving by Winona State, Lowry Field, and you see us there, the lights on, stop and check it out. The games are, flexible. We don't have any set dates during the week, so we play again tomorrow night, Tuesday night doubleheader. We play at home Wednesday, and then we are running a 5-team tournament next weekend, bringing in Stillwater, Apple Valley, Holman, Altoona, Wisconsin. Some good teams running a Friday, Saturday, Sunday tournament, a week from this Friday. So got some upcoming home games that should be worth watching.
Yeah, it sounds like a great tournament.
Yeah, it should be a real good one. So we hope for the best. So just gotta hope the weather cooperates.
That's right. That's always the thing this time of year.
Definitely.
All right, thank you for joining us here. We're going to take a break, and when we come back, Ethan Ringo will join us. That's right after this.
When you're injured or lose a loved one in an accident, it's the results that matter. And results are what you get with the Brosnahan Law Firm. Whether it's a vehicle accident, wrongful death, or injured child, the Brosnahan Law Firm is the right choice. Call 457-3000.
Perfect.
Perfect.
Perfect. Getting the right look at the right price. Perfect. Is always in style. At Cost Cutters.
Located in the professional building in the Winona Mall, 507-454-6030.
And welcome back to From the Dugout. Ethan Ringo now joins us. Thanks for being here today.
Thanks for having me.
Now, you just graduated from Winona Senior High School, so let's kind of wrap up your career at Winona High because you played football and also you played baseball with the Windhawks. Is there anything obvious, other than the maybe obvious answer, anything that stands out from your career at Winona High?
Just playing with all the guys and all that. We just have that chemistry and all that, and we're basically a big family.
All right. Now, obviously, you're playing here for the LeJetz. Is baseball your favorite sport over football?
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And then you came up through the Buddies program as well, right?
Yep.
How many years did you play for the Buddies?
For 2 years.
2 years, and then this is your second year with the LeJetz?
Yeah.
So what was it like last year to go through on your way to the state tournament?
Oh, that was amazing, especially from it being so long ago before the Legion made it there and all that, and then being with all the guys that we were there. It was just a fun group to be with while we were there in the hotel and everything.
And then I suppose it was an easy decision then to come back for another year with the LeJetz.
Oh, yeah.
What is it like to play for Coach Hepner?
Oh, it's amazing. We just joke around all the time, and all the coaches. It's just literally like another family and all that.
All right. Coach, maybe tell me a little bit about what it's like to have Ethan on your team and how easy it is to pencil his name in the roster.
Yeah, he's pretty much been our center fielder for 2 years. Maybe a game here, a game there, we've switched it out, but 98% of the time I pencil him in at center field. He's kind of the outfield leader. Does a good job out there. He runs very well. That's kind of his strong suit is probably his speed. I mean, he's probably the fastest guy on the team and covers a lot of ground in the outfield. Last year we had him throw a little bit. He didn't get a big opportunity in the spring, but in the summer he came out for us and threw. He has a unique motion. He's one of those sidewinders, so he throws really from the side instead over the top. You don't see a whole lot of that, especially at the high school level. But he came in last year, gave us some quality innings, got a couple big saves for us, and we enjoyed watching him throw just because it's such a unique and different thing. So he hasn't thrown yet in the first week, but he's going to be throwing a little bit this week, I'm sure, and we'll count on him for some innings also, besides being in the outfield and hitting for us, throughout the summer. So.
All right. Well, let's talk about the pitching just a little bit then. Did you pitch a lot for Coach Smith at Winona?
No, actually, I didn't. I think I pitched maybe 3 innings throughout the whole season. So yeah, there wasn't really much practice there. There was a lot of bullpen pitching, and that was about it.
Okay, because I was going to kind of lead into when they maybe saw you for the first time with the kind of sidewind motion.
Oh.
What was the reaction to that?
Kind of, they were very questionable about it at first because of how weird the angle is.
And how long have you had to develop that kind of motion? Because it's a different release point, obviously, than if you're throwing overhand. So where did that come from?
Well, I used to originally throw over the top a lot, but I hurt my shoulder at a showcase for baseball one time, and it was like tender to throw over the top, so I was like, all right, well, I got to start pitching again too and all that, so I was just messing around with my dad, throwing different angles and all that, and then I just learned down there. I had no pain, and it felt good, and I had a lot of stuff that would break hard and all that.
Very good. Interesting. So obviously, I imagine you're looking forward to getting on the mound this year and show what you got, right?
Yeah.
All right. You guys did win, I think, your first game of the season. Tell me a little bit about that game and what you remember from that.
Oh, geez, that was a while ago now. Yeah, we just came out and we fought for it and all that. We were hitting pretty well, and it just, everything was going for us and all that.
Okay. What do you remember from the first game?
We beat Holman 5-4. We got up early and we executed. We got down 2 or 3 bunts early. Got some timely hits. We had a couple good 2-out singles with runners on base, and we switched out pitchers after Spencer Wright started. Went about 65 pitches, but I didn't want to burn anybody out early in the year, so we switched out pitchers, and he left with a 5-0 lead and a 2-hitter going. Our middle relief struggled a little bit, but then Parker Nelton came in and got the win at the end, or got the save at the end of the game. But that was a nice win. We struggled a little bit this past weekend. We played down in La Crosse, but we were on the turf. It's a little different game on the turf infield at Copeland Park. So we gave up a few hits at a normal park or at Winona State on the grass. I think would have been outs, so it kind of came back and bit us a little bit. But it's a work in progress, and we'll get there. So. But it was a good start. Holman's got a nice squad, so it was nice to get off to a W with that opening game for us.
All right. And last question for you, Ethan. Have you set any goals for yourself for this season?
Just to get back to that state tournament again. That's all I want to do.
Well, we wish you good luck in that, and good luck with your games this week.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, we're going to take a break here on From the Dugout. When we come back, we'll talk Winona Chiefs baseball. That's right after this.
When you're injured or lose a loved one in an accident, it's the results that matter, and results are what you get with the Brosnahan Law Firm. Whether it's a vehicle accident, wrongful death, or injured child, the Brosnahan Law Firm is the right choice. Call 457-3000.
And welcome back to From the Dugout. Time now to talk Winona Chiefs baseball. Lee Trasinski joins us, who is the manager and a player. So kind of an odd combination, I guess, although maybe in amateur baseball it's not so weird.
About half the teams in our league have that situation, so it's not too weird, but it is stressful at times.
I can imagine that. Let's go back a little bit first and talk about kind of your history. Went to Winona State for a little while, and you've been with the Chiefs for a number of years. Let's go back even further than that. What was your first memory of baseball? How did you first get interested in baseball?
I know. I don't remember it, but I remember when I was about 2-3 years old, and my dad said I'd be having Nerf bats in the living room, hitting balls all over the place and throwing them. So that's just kind of always been what I like to do. And then, when I was 6 years old, the Braves were my favorite MLB team. They started their 14-year division run, so that was kind of where I really took off enjoying baseball.
I suppose having the Superstation on, being able to watch a whole bunch of Braves games. And
we couldn't even
do that.
Being from Wisconsin, I couldn't even watch the Brewers until about I was 12 years old. So it was either Braves or Cubs, and I couldn't be a Cubs fan.
So let's talk a little bit about your Winona State career. What do you remember from that?
2004 to 2007, so it was already a while ago. It's just I was started off as a walk-on, and after a couple injuries, got a chance to join the middle of my freshman year. Was one pitch away from a shutout, my first career start. So I mean, there's a lot of good things, and then moved all the way up to the bullpen that year, as from non-conference starting to conference bullpen, and then kind of just stayed there throughout. I didn't throw many strikes, but yeah, as just a lefty, situational lefty most of the time. So it was a good time. Senior year, won our conference championship, tournament championship. So that was definitely the most fun time as a Winona State Warrior.
All right. Now, a lot of times when we talk to Winona State players, we ask, what are your plans after graduation? And at that time, did you think that you would have a future in baseball once your college career ended?
No, I knew I was college level was as far as I was going to go. I threw fairly hard for a lefty, but when you look nowadays, 80, 87, 88 tops is not anything. So I knew pretty quick that it was all I had for baseball.
Okay, and then how did the Winona Chiefs get into the situation?
After my freshman year of college, my old Little League coach was Jason Denzer, who played on the Chiefs for 10, 12 years. He was still on the team at the time. He's like, yeah, you should come play for us, because being from Galesville, we didn't have an amateur team, and there was no amateur team even within 25 miles. So Winona was the closest one I had, so I was like, okay, sounds good, and 16 years later, I'm still here.
And this is your 5th year, I believe, as player manager, correct?
Yes, correct.
How did you first get involved in the managing aspect?
Well, Ryan Buehler did a lot of, my first 8 years or so, he was the manager, and then Brett Schmidt took over for a couple of years, and then I was always one of the most consistent guys to show up, and being 8, 10 years on the team at that point, it was a natural takeover.
Okay. Let's talk a little bit about the team then. As you said, players, they kind of come and go, and because it's amateur baseball, some days you have them, some days you don't when game day comes along. Kind of describe the team and how this team is organized.
I guess I'm not.
How do you fill out a roster? How do you get guys to come out onto the team?
Yeah, a lot of the high school kids know from senior high and from Cotter. They know that that's their, this is kind of the next level. When you're in college, we get some Lewiston kids now. We have a Wabasha kid, we have a Caledonia kid, so the fact that there are no teams around in our area besides us really helps us draw from a lot of different areas. otherwise, we have connections. One of our players, Zach Mayo, is a professor at St. Mary's. So and then he's like, yeah, I can get a couple of the former players that stayed in town after graduation. They can come play for us, and we just build the team like that, just through word of mouth.
Okay. Do you ask for any kind of commitment, like, well, we want you for this number of games or anything like that?
It's just kind of inherently known that if you're only going to show up to 3 games in a year, it's probably not worth your time. But most guys, they can be here. Wednesdays either they're good or weekends they're good. Stuff. They have a fairly consistent schedule.
Okay. You've already played 11 games so far this season. How are things going with the team?
The record's not great at 3-8, but we play a lot of very tough non-conference teams. Sparta's always near the top of the state in Wisconsin. La Crescent's a very good team. Lake City, as a region team, they made state out of our region last year. So we play very tough teams. So the 3-8 looks bad, and most of the games were competitive. We've had a issue with the big inning. We haven't been able to stop the bleeding. We allow a couple 10-run innings that really made things look bad. So, but no, otherwise, the feels good. We're very competitive on pretty much every game. Just we can't get the big hit here, there, right so far, but those things come and go. So hopefully we'll get our good end here in the second half of the year.
All right. You talked about some of the stresses of being a player and a manager. What are some of the stresses that go into it?
You got to, getting stuff ready for home games. We have to, get the PA system going, scoreboard going, make sure the field's in good shape, and write out the lineup cards, for either game. And then if you're pitching, well, then you got to warm up sometime in that, time span. So it gets very time stressful at times. I had a game against Owatonna where I gave myself 20 minutes to go from getting dressed to on the mound. So, you learn to work and warm up very quickly.
All right. Kind of a odd question, maybe kind of personal question here. So if you're on the mound, you're the player manager. How do you decide when it's your time, maybe to come out of the game, stay in the game?
You do have to think about it once in a while. Physically, it's pretty easy usually. Towards the 7th, 8th inning, you start getting tired. You let somebody know before the inning, hey, if I start getting tired, you got to be the next one. If it's like the 3rd and 4th and I'm just getting hit really hard, then you kind of look around the infield and be like, just ask, hey, are you good to go? It's more on the fly at that point. But I tend to have the games mapped out much more concrete in advance. And when I am starting, though, as the veteran guy, I try to, push myself beyond more of what I would ask a 20-year-old to do. So that's usually not the case, but once in a while things do go bad. So it's tough to pull the hook sometimes. I'm probably slower than I should be because I have too much confidence myself, but that's how you got to be as an athlete too. So.
All right. Last question then. If people want to see Chiefs games, they're played at Gabriel Park.
Yes,
and
correct.
what's your kind of general schedule?
Unfortunately, we have a long road stretch right now, and we are not back home till July 10th. And then we got 3 more home games in that next 10-day span, and then we'll have at least 1 home playoff game the weekend of the 26th through 28th.
All right, very good. We're going to take a break here on From the Dugout. When we come back, we'll get the player perspective as Scott Peterson joins us right after this.
Perfect.
Perfect. Perfect.
Getting the right look at the right price
Perfect.
is always in style at Cost Cutters.
Located in the professional building in the Winona Mall, 507-454-6030.
When you're injured or lose a loved one in an accident, it's the results that matter. And results are what you get with the Brosnahan Law Firm. Whether it's a vehicle accident, wrongful death, or injured child, the Brosnahan Law Firm is the right choice. Call 457-3000.
And welcome back to From the Dugout. Scott Peterson now joins us from the Chiefs. Tell us a little bit about yourself, where you're from, and what your background in baseball is.
Sure. So I grew up Clear Lake, Minnesota, and grew up there, went to high school there and everything, and then I went to school out at the U of M in Morris. And after college, played ball for them and stuff, and then I moved to town here, and I knew that I wanted to keep playing ball. So actually I did a little online research, and I got a hold of Brett Schmidt, who used to run the team, and when I met with him, he informed me, he was no longer the manager of the team, so pointed me at Lee here, and got a hold of him. So I've been on the team ever since for the last 4 years.
All right, let's back up just a little bit to your Minnesota Morris career. What are some of the highlights from your career in college?
Sure. So I played all 4 years out there. My first freshman year there, I didn't last very long. I kind of got injured, but the other 3 years, I did pretty well. We went through a coaching change, and the last year was the best year the school history had had since the mid-90s. So that was a nice note to go out on. And they've improved ever since. The last 4 or 5 years since I've graduated, they've continued to improve. So it was kind of a stepping stone for the school to get their program moving forward.
Okay. So Lee, when a player comes from maybe outside like Minnesota Morris or somewhere else from that, and they say, hey, I'm interested in joining the Chiefs, what's the process after that? Do you put them through any kind of tryout or anything?
No, it's, if you show up, you have a very good chance of playing. So we got practices before the season and get to see everybody, and get an idea of what they can do. And being a catcher, it's always much easier to find a spot on the team. So, but no, we don't have any, official tryout camp. Basically, if you want to play, and you show up, you'll find your way in the lineup. So.
Okay. For you, what brings you back every year?
It's the love of the game. I mean, being part of the team and playing ball, that's really what I enjoy about the whole thing.
Okay. What is the balance between, work life and being able to fit baseball in and trying to get to some of the practices if you can? What's that kind of juggling like? Is it kind of similar to what you faced in college?
No, college was actually a little bit easier. You could talk to your professors and get out of class or take a test or a quiz or turn in a paper early. So they worked with you a little bit more than the work life does. You have hours that you got to be at your employment, and if you can't make the game, as long as hopefully you can let them know early enough that you're not going to be able to make it. But for the most part, with communication and such, you can make your games. The weekends are good ones to make. Those weeknight games sometimes get a little bit difficult if they're an away game.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, talk about the travel a little bit in amateur baseball. I mean, you have to go to all these different places, and you still have home life and all that kind of thing
right.
to do.
So, we may have a weeknight game. Well, if you can get off of work and you can go to it, you're playing ball 7:30 the start time, and you don't get done until 10:30. So then you got to get home. If you got family or kids at home, you still got to find a little time to try and see them. Mm-hmm. The weekend games make it a little bit easier with an afternoon start. It's a good time to bring the family to the ballpark. You can get out and enjoy the weather. You're done, mid-afternoon, so you can still do some stuff family-wise with them. And if you want to go after the game you're already at a park or whatever it might be, or if you're traveling on an away game, there's things to do as a family, and it can bring you closer together.
All right, last minute here in this segment, how has your season gone so far?
We've done okay, as Lee said before here, with the record we have. It probably doesn't justify the games that we've played as far as the competitiveness goes, but the early part of the schedule is usually where we play the non-conference games, and the non-league games where we play the more difficult teams. So looking forward, we'll probably be able to improve that a little bit, I'm hoping, with the league games that were coming up.
All right. Well, thank you guys for coming in here, and good luck on your road trip, and hopefully we get more people out to the ballpark when you're back in town.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you for watching From the Dugout. We'll see you next week here on HBC TV 25.